Welcome to the Ben Daniel Podcast, where we're calling a spade a spade. Sheryl Swoopes does it yet again, this time downplaying and diminishing the dominant season that Caitlin Clark has had this year. Usually, when Sheryl Swoopes is on Gil's Arena, she's all by herself. Her, Gilbert, maybe Brandon Jennings, and she has the floor to spew all the lies and all the nonsense that she wants, and then goes and cries and hides on Twitter. I'm a victim. You guys are bullying me. No, Cheryl, we're just saying that you're lying. That's it. We're not bullying you. We're just calling it a spade. This time, Rashad McCants decided not to take the day off. This time, Rashad McCants took it upon himself to explain to Sheryl Swoopes why what Caitlin Clark is doing this year is in fact dominant, and he laid out a great explanation and a solid argument as to why. Now, before we get into that, let's address the elephant in the room. Ben, who is that random lady that you have on your thumbnail? Who is that? I've never seen her a day in my life. Folks, her name is Renee Montgomery. Now, she is a part owner of the Atlanta Dream. She used to play in the WNBA. Some people call her a WNBA star, but folks, this isn't wrestling. Not everybody is a superstar. She played in the WNBA. Haven't heard of her until today. Clearly not there are tons of other WNBA players that have played in the past that I've heard of. Those are stars. Renee Montgomery, I'm sorry. You're the co-owner of the Atlanta Dream, as far as I'm concerned, right? You're not a WNBA. You may have played, but you're not a star. But what does she do? Renee Montgomery, she has her own podcast. Why? Because all of these people today, right, they feel like they need to be socially out there. They feel like they need to capitalize on their brand, right? I can't just be a businesswoman. I need to do this, and I need to do this. I need to do that, and I need to do this, right? They want to be out in the public space because clout is a hell of a drug. And Renee, you need some clout. I get it. Let me give it to you. Right? Renee Montgomery plays all the old hits when it comes to CC's fans, right? We're this, we're that, we're this, we're that, we're that, we're this, we're mean. Just all a bunch of nonsense, right? But I want to address some things that Renee said during her soliloquy, and it was a soliloquy, make no mistake about it, folks. I left that part in there for a reason. Is it me, or is she just hollering? Yes, she's just hollering. She is just replaying all the old rhetoric, recycling the old talking points, downplaying, talking trash, demeaning Caitlin Clark stands. Let's take a listen and see what she had to say.
Group cannot be a representation of what the WNBA would want in their league. This is our league. This was built, I feel like as a women's basketball historian myself, I've been watching since I was 5. I was here before the league started, as a lot of the fans on social media feel the same. That ain't a representation of us. Y'all not like us. They not like us, okay? So please don't confuse me saying motivated by hate by meaning hating on a team the way a normal, diehard fan would.
All right, let me just address this real quick before we go on, right? First things first, this is our league. Renee, this is not your league, right? You're behind closed doors in those meetings, right? You're fully aware that this league is supported by the NBA. Yes, you're fully aware that this league has been losing money year after year after year after year because it's a trash product. Yes, you're fully aware that for the last 20 years, maybe 20% to capacity have been WNBA arenas. Yes, you're fully aware that since 2008, not a single million viewed game until Caitlin Clark showed up. You are fully aware of all these things, right? You're fully aware that one day Adam Silver can wake up and say, I'm tired of losing $50 million a year. Pull the plug on the WNBA, right? It's not your league. It's their league. It's Adam's league. You don't think that if you keep talking the way you're talking, keep being a neglectful owner like you've been being, you don't think in a couple years Adam Silver is going to look at all these organizations and say, wait, this is how you guys have been running things here? We finally have somebody that draws money. We finally have somebody that makes people sit down and watch this trash. And this is how you owners are behaving. This is the kind of Mean Girls Club that has been going on here in the WNBA. And I've been supporting this shit for how many years now? I've been supporting this trash for how many years now? Yeah, I'm done. So I suggest that all you owners stop being in your feelings and start looking at the black and white. Because if you think this free ride is going to continue forever, newsflash, it's not. Newsflash, it's not. So number one, it is not your league. You might think because you partially own a team that you have a say. You have no say. You have no voice. You might think that you do, but when Adam Silver says jump, you say how high? Let's be a buck here. Let's call a spade here. Number two, y'all not like us. They not like us. Renee, I would hate to be like the old WNBA fans. I would hate to have my head so far in the clouds that I am so disengaged from reality that I think having an arena that holds 3,500 people and only being 85 to 90% capacity on a night in, night out basis is a positive. Yes, I would hate to be that type of fan. I would hate to be one of the old 46,000 fans that went to all these big arenas, Minnesota, Barclays, wherever it might be, see the whole 300 section taped off in black, thinking that, oh my God, this is a sellout. Yes, I would hate to be delusional like you. You know what else I would hate to be? I would hate to be one of the old WNBA fans that ran Sabrina Ionescu off Twitter because you got on her about her white privilege. I would hate to be those WNBA fans. You know what else? I would hate to be the WNBA fans that encouraged and applauded the Las Vegas Aces trading away De'Arica Hamby because she was pregnant. I would hate to be one of those fans. I would hate to be one of those fans that when the Los Angeles Sparks come back into the arena, come back to face the Las Vegas Aces, De'Arica Hamby makes her return to Las Vegas. I would hate to be one of the 9,000 shitty people in the building booing her as her daughter is in the building. Yes, trust me, I am not like you. I would hate to be like you guys. So I appreciate you for giving me the respect and saying I am not like you, because trust me, we are nothing alike. Let's hear what else Renee had to say, shall we?
For instance, let me just give you some examples. A diehard Falcons fan can hate the Saints, but they would be going a little bit too far if they created nude AI pictures of Saints players and then sent them to the Saints players' families.
Excuse me, Renee, when Bountygate was going on and Greg Williams was putting a bounty on Brett Favre's head, what do you think Minnesota Viking fans were doing out in the public, out on the internet to the New Orleans Saints? Do you think they weren't crossing any lines? Do you think they weren't crossing any boundaries? Are you aware what diehard fans actually means? Stop trying to police fandom. That's the problem. We're trying to police how people think, how people speak. If you don't like what they have to say, turn the other way. But don't use a Saints of all teams, a Saints analogy in this example. They put a bounty on Brett Favre's head, just like the Chicago Sky put a bounty on Caitlin Clark's head. What do you think those Viking fans were doing to New Orleans Saints players online? The opposite of what you think they were doing. Because again, you're disconnected from reality. What else?
That's what Caitlin stans have done to Angel Reese. A diehard Tennessee Vols fan could have hated our UConn Huskies, but they would have been going way too far if they sent death threats to the UConn players. And
you don't think the Boston Red Sox fans have ever sent death threats to Derek Jeter, Roger Clemens, Mariano Rivera? I know Alex Rodriguez probably got a death threat every 2 hours on the hour since he put on number 13 for the Pinstripes. What are you talking about? Again, disconnected from reality. I don't need to like it, but it is reality. Stop trying to police how fans or stans or trolls need to behave. It makes you look foolish, for lack of a better word.
And that's what they've done. That's what Caitlyn stans have done. A diehard Celtics fan could hate the Lakers. And you know what? If we being honest, that Celtics fan base has definitely gone too far with some of their racist remarks and their treatments of players. It's not okay.
Renee. Hey, Renee. Renee. You don't think any of those Celtics fans are UConn fans? Okay, let's just get back to regular scheduled programming.
It's okay to be a hater in sports. Like, hating in sports is a part of the game. Like, I like when our fans are so engaged and so passionate that they just don't like the other team. But being racist, sexist, and violent with your words, come on now, what are we doing? Come on now, that's not acceptable. I mean, honestly, imagine if one of the stands said the things that they were saying. What if they said it to your daughter, your wife, your cousin, your sister?
Renee, do you know what I would say to them? If somebody said some of these things to my daughter, do you know what I would say to her? I thought I told you not to go on Twitter. I thought I told you not to read into the nonsense. I thought I raised you better than that. I thought I raised you to have thicker skin. I thought I raised you not to be a victim all the time. I thought I raised you to realize that there are good people and bad people in this world and you got to take it for what it is. That's what I would tell my daughter. I wouldn't tell her, oh my God, cry, come here, come here. No, I thought I raised you better than that. Stop feeding into the trolls. You're better than that. Stop reading the negative comments. You're better than that. Get off on Twitter like we discussed. Get off of Facebook like we discussed. Get off of Instagram like we discussed. Get off of Snapchat like we discussed. That's what I would tell my daughter. My daughter wouldn't be growing up on social media anyway because I would be active, trying to get her to do other things, trying to get her to pay attention to things that actually matter, like the real world. That's what I would tell my daughter. What I would tell my wife, honey, why do you care what some stranger has to say online? You're damn near 30 years old. Honey, why do you care what some random stranger has to say online? You're damn near 30 years old. That's what I would say to my wife. What would I say to my cousin? Hey, cuzzo, what are you doing? You have thin skin or you have thick skin? Grow up. Get over it. If somebody's sending you a death threat, call the police. If somebody's being... It is what it is. Like that's the thing, folks. It is what it is. At the end of the day. I can cry about everything. Oh my God, somebody in the comment section disagreed. Woo, 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 woo. No, somebody disagreed. Okay. Like, we're trying to police how fans need to behave. And then when they behave too far, now we're calling them stans. And when the stans get too far, now we're calling them trolls. What would I tell my sister? Sister, what are you talking about? Stop paying attention to what these nasty people have to say online. You know they're only saying things to try to hurt you, to try to get at you. And the more you feed into it, the more fuel you give to them to continue berating you, harassing you. Say what you need to say and get off. Make your tweet and get off. In fact, you know what? Maybe put down Twitter. Maybe you don't need to be on that. Maybe you should be too busy working on this. Maybe you should be too busy maybe you should be shooting free throws. Maybe you should be practicing your layups. That's what I would tell my sister. That's what I would tell them, to handle it in a mature manner. Not go on Twitter and cry like a victim. Not go on a podcast and cry like a victim. I wouldn't raise my daughter to be a victim. I wouldn't marry somebody who has a victim mentality. My parents didn't raise me or my would-be sister to be a victim either. But you said people might want to fight, didn't you?
Folks might be ready to fight. Okay.
You said people might want to fight. You know who wanted to fight? Flo J's brother. He wanted to fight. My sister? No. People that can't control their emotions, they might want to fight. People that are immature, they might want to fight. People that are like, this is the world we live in. They don't want to fight. They want to turn the other way and keep it moving. They want to be a bigger person and keep it moving. They don't want to feed into all of the drama. They don't want to feed into all of the nonsense because they understand the more you feed in, the more fuel you give to that fire. Let's continue on, shall we?
Okay, so Caitlyn, unfortunately for her, this is a group that is attached to her, not her asking this group to follow. It seems that they found a home in this fan base thinking that that's where it was. But recently, some things have shown where Caitlyn recently liked a post by Taylor Swift, and it was supporting VP Harris.
Okay, let's get into it, Renee. What happened?
And on that post, all she did was like it. And this Caitlyn Stans group that I'm talking about, the Stans have now split against Caitlyn. They're actually going against Caitlyn. I'm going to read some of the tweets. This is what they're saying to Caitlyn now.
Let me hear
I
it.
was just starting to finally pay some attention to the WNBA because somebody was actually worth watching, and then you caved. Another fan said, definitely should have stayed out of politics at Caitlin Clark. I love watching you, but now I refuse after seeing you support Taylor Swift and Kamala. Why did you like Taylor Swift's post endorsing Kamala? We thought you were like us. What's going on? So Caitlyn had these big expectations when she came into the league, and she's clearly exceeding all of them, not on the court, not only on the court, but off of the court, being an ambassador for these brands.
What's going on, folks? Let me just address that real quick. And then we'll move on, right? If Caitlin Clark fans, or if she wants to label them stans, right? If they feel a certain way and they don't want to follow an athlete for any specific reason, guess what? They're allowed to. They're allowed to. Doesn't make them a stan. Doesn't make them less of a fan. They're allowed to feel how they want to feel and follow who they want to follow. And nothing that she said in those responses to her liking was mean, hateful, harmful. They said, hey, I don't want to support you anymore. And they're allowed to. So that's not really hitting as hard as you may have wanted it to hit, Renee.
But something sinister is happening online with Caitlyn's fan base and these stands that needs to be addressed. So all I'm saying is sports hate is okay. It's acceptable. It's actually welcome. We love the passionate fans.
All right, you're done. It doesn't need to be addressed. Can we all agree with that? How fans act doesn't need to be addressed unless you're thin-skinned and you've been raised with a victim mentality. If you refuse to take any accountability for your own actions, if you are so glued to the clicks that you can't turn it off, WNBA doesn't need to speak on fans. The NFL doesn't need to speak on fans. The NBA doesn't need to speak on fans. No league needs to speak on fans. Let the fans be fans. They can follow who they want, when they want, how they want. And since we're on this point of fans, let's take a look here, right? The stans, the fans, the trolls, folks, they all spend money at the end of the day, right? She didn't have a problem with the Caitlin Clark stans or the trolls when they were filling up the State Farm Arena after going from a shoebox to the State Farm. She didn't have a problem with them. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, stans don't pay money. Trolls don't pay money. It's the fans that do. I disagree. You can be a troll online and use some fake account and troll and push the limits and cross the boundaries. And then you can use your real name in real life, spending your real money and real time and real energy supporting a real player who you support. She didn't have a problem with the fans, the stans, and the trolls then, did she? No, she didn't. What about the second time? When they broke the record for the largest WNBA game in the state of Georgia, did she have a fan? Did she have a problem with the fans and the stands and the trolls then? No, She didn't. What about watching the basketball game on Ion? 1.02 million. Atlanta Dream, Indiana Fever, with a peak at 1.38 million. Did she have a problem with the fans and the stands and the trolls then? No, she didn't. Did she have a problem when on NBA TV, Fever Dream, 617,000 people? Did she have a problem with the fans and the stands and the trolls then? No, she didn't. Chicago Sky versus the Atlanta Dream on NBA TV, measly 175,000. But the fans and the stands and the trolls, they actually sit down and they watch this game. Stop being a victim and look at yourself. Now, folks, Sheryl Swoopes, our good old friend Sheryl Swoopes. Sheryl Swoopes was on the Gills Arena and tried to downplay the dominant season that Caitlin Clark is having. For those of you who missed it, let's take a listen.
If we had a number, if we would have said, when we're talking about dominating with Caitlin Clark, what would those numbers have? What was the numbers?
It would have been a scoring number.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Because of that high clip, shooting it.
Right, right.
We'd have been like,
That's what she did.
Do you consider 20
that's
points
what I
per
was saying
game?
when you said
So
it.
you don't consider 20 points per game?
So if her stats, when we're saying she won't do this in the W, she averaged 31.6, 7.4 rebounds, 9 assists, right? Did anyone expect her to do that in WNBA?
Those three,
no. Right? So she didn't do that.
No.
Now, if we say her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5
That's crazy.
Five
Is
point,
that dominant?
5.6
Those are
turnovers,
hell of a
too.
number.
Those are hell
For
of
a
a numbers.
rookie.
But to me, that's not
Period.
dominating.
Yeah, it's only not dominating because she's a rookie.
Now,
If
okay,
No.
Yeah,
so
because if she's putting up numbers like Asia right now, would she be dominating?
yes.
So it's about
Yeah.
the numbers. I don't look at the dominating factor being numbers. It's what you're doing on the floor. And those numbers would change if the factors on the floor changes. If you make that layup, the stats change. If you swing, I get a layup, stats change. These are factors on the floor that we don't get to see because we're glorifying the stat.
Damn. These are numbers we don't get to see because we're glorifying the stats. How many assists per game would Caitlin Clark have if her teammates can make a layup? How many points would she have if after she passed the ball in the first half of the season, she'd get the ball back? How much more would her stats be up if her boneheaded coach named Christy Sides wasn't a boneheaded coach named Christy Sides? Caitlin Clark is without a doubt dominating this league. Folks, shout out to the Clark Report on Twitter. They put together a nice compilation of all of Caitlin Clark's records.
We've had a request for the audio transcript of every record Caitlin Clark has broken, so I'm going to give it my best try. Fastest player to 100 points, 50 assists. Fastest player to 150 points, 50 rebounds, 10 assists. Fastest player to 200 points, 50 assists. Fastest player to 200 points, 75 rebounds, 75 assists. Fastest player to 250 points, 100 assists. Fastest player...
You get the point, folks. Caitlin Clark has been dominant. Since she's been back from Olympic break, averaging nearly 25 and 10. Dominant. Leading the league in assists per game. Dominant. Most assists in a WNBA season. Dominant. Averaging 26 and 8 with a handicap. Dominant. Taking over fourth quarters. Dominant. Taking over halves. Dominant. Caitlin Clark has been nothing short of spectacular this entire season. She has been dominant this entire season. There's no other way to cut it. Now, I know some people, myself included, I was like, a little bit. And I could understand that thought process because we're used to seeing dominance a different way. Right? We're used to seeing maybe Jokic control a game, dominant. LeBron maybe control a game, dominant. Kobe, dominant. Jordan, dominant. Shaq, dominant. 2000 AI, dominant. But that's the NBA. We can't use our expectations on the WNBA as we've learned all season long. Relatively speaking, what Caitlin Clark is doing in the WNBA is a dominant season. We need to look at it for what it is. We need to call a spade here. 15 5-5 games, dominant. 25-5 games, dominant. A handful of 25-plus per point performances, dominant. Multiple triple doubles as a rookie, dominant. The only rookie in WNBA history to get a triple double, dominant. When we look at it through the WNBA lens and not this jaded NBA view, shout out to Chick Six Scars. He opened up my eyes a bit. This is a dominant season by every stretch of the imagination. What she is doing has been dominant, folks. Even after the awful start, fastest to 100 points, fastest to 50 assists. Like I said, 25 in 10 games, 20 in 10 games, 25 in 5 games. No player has ever averaged 17 points, 8 assists, and Caitlin Clark's over here averaging 19.5 and 8.4. The speed that she's hitting these milestones, the consistency that she's been hitting these milestones, every single game is a brand new record.
Player to 300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists. Fastest player to 350 points, 100. Rookie record for most three-pointers made in a season. Most consecutive 15-5-5 games in WNBA history. Rookie record for most games with 10-plus assists in a season. Fever franchise rookie record for most 30-plus point games in a single season. Fever franchise record for most consecutive games with 1-plus three-pointer made. Fever rookie record for highest assists per game in a season. Fever franchise record for...
Dominant, folks. This is a 4-minute clip of just record after record after record. Caitlin Clark has been dominant this season. It's the Ben Daniel Podcast. We're calling a spade a spade. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I can't wait for the next time Fever fans, stans, or trolls get called racist. I can't wait for the next time we get gaslit. I am so excited. We are in the venue on Thursday. I appreciate all the support. Take it easy.